Before you watch a single shot from Shinnecock Hills this week, you need to know what's really going on. The 2026 US Open field looks nothing like what fans expected just weeks ago, and the reasons why will genuinely surprise you. When fans look at a major championship field, they usually focus on who's playing. This year, the conversation has been dominated by who's not. And the list of notable absences is longer and more dramatic than anything most golf fans anticipated heading into tournament week. From chronic illness to heartbreaking near misses, from off-course controversies to a contender arriving with serious injury concerns, the road to Shinnecock Hills has been filled with one unexpected twist after another. Let's start with the player who holds the distinction of being the highest-ranked golfer not teeing it up this week. Marco Penge is a 8-year-old English rookie on the PGA Tour, currently ranked no 48 inches the official world golf rankings. That ranking alone tells you everything about what kind of season he was expected to have. But Penge's 2026 has been defined not by birdies and leaderboards, but by a health battle that simply won't let go. It started back in November 2025 when he suffered a viral infection at the DP World Tour Championship. That infection triggered a cascade of issues, ear problems, neck problems, and nervous system complications that have followed him ever since. Despite those struggles, Penge showed genuine promise early in the season. He posted a T4 finish at the Valspar Championship and made the cut at the Masters, finishing T49 at Augusta. But just before the PGA Championship, he was hit with another sinus infection that caused vertigo symptoms, and he missed the cut. That was the moment he announced he was stepping away from competition to focus entirely on his health. Fans held out hope he might return in time for the US Open. That hope ended on June 9 when Penge posted on social media, "Unfortunately, myself and my team have decided that I am going to have to WD from the @USO Pengolf Championship, which I'm gutted about. My health is the #1 priority for now, and until I get to the bottom of the issues, I won't be competing. The plan is to return fully fit," he added. "I have had numerous scans and seen several specialists, and we are getting close to resolving the issue that I've been struggling with for 8 months. What makes this particularly painful is that this would have been his first ever US Open start. That opportunity is now gone for another year." But Penge's story, as difficult as it is, was not the one that stopped golf fans in their tracks. That story belongs to Tony Finau. For years, Finau had quietly built one of the most consistent streaks in professional golf. 33 consecutive major championship appearances, stretching all the way back to the 2017 Open Championship. Year after year, tournament after tournament, he showed up. No drama, no close calls, just reliability at the sport's biggest events. And the last time the US Open was held at Shinnecock Hills in 2018, Finau was in the final group, eventually finishing 5th, just 6 shots behind winner Brooks Koepka. This season, the streak began to crack. Finau missed both the Masters and the PGA Championship, putting enormous pressure on his US Open qualifying attempt. He traveled to Springfield Country Club in Ohio for the final qualifier, needing to get through a brutally competitive field. He didn't. He missed out by 2 strokes. Just 2. A streak that spanned nearly a decade across 4 different major championships ended not with a dramatic collapse, but with a quiet, painful shortfall. After coming up short, Finau spoke honestly about where his head was. "I can't go 0 for 4. Heading to Canada now. Play to win." He immediately shifted his focus to the RBC Canadian Open, knowing that a strong finish there could open a back door into the Open Championship. That's the mentality of a professional. Absorb the blow and move forward. But the record books will show that 2026 is the year the streak of 33 ended. And if Finau's story was painful, the one that followed was arguably even harder to watch. Max Homa had not missed a major championship since 2019. At his peak, he climbed to number 5 inches the world. He has 6 PGA Tour wins to his name and built a reputation as one of the more complete players on tour. But his ranking had slipped, and without an automatic exemption, he had to qualify the hard way. He showed up to a 3-6-hole qualifier in Canada, carrying his own bag for every single one of those holes, a detail that speaks to how seriously he took the opportunity. He battled through the entire day and made it into a playoff. On the first playoff hole, he stood over a 1-2-foot putt with a chance to advance. The putt rolled toward the cup, caught the edge, and lipped out. Just like that, it was over. Homa will miss the US Open for the 2nd consecutive year. His only top, 1-0 of the entire season, was a T9 at the Masters, and now one of the game's most popular players is sitting at home while the field tees it up at Shinnecock Hills. The next absence is a different kind of story entirely, one that takes place away from qualifying courses and leaderboards. Phil Mickelson will not be part of this year's US Open field. He has competed in just a single LIV golf event this season, and before the Masters, he announced he was stepping away from the game due to what he described as a personal family health matter. He offered no further details. He was briefly listed in the PGA Championship field before quickly withdrawing, saying he, unfortunately, couldn't play. The situation became more complicated when reports surfaced that Mickelson had been expelled from his Southern California golf club over allegations of non-consensual and inappropriate physical contact with a female. This employee, his team described it as a misunderstanding that had been resolved, and said he continues to attend to a family health matter. What makes his absence particularly notable is the history involved. Mickelson has never won the US Open. He has finished second on 6 separate occasions, a record of near misses that has defined a significant chapter of his career. His 5-year exemption earned from winning the 2021 PGA Championship has now expired, which means if he wants to play in the US Open again, he will have to earn his place like everyone else. For a player of his stature, that is a significant shift. And then there is the absence that changes the entire atmosphere of a major championship. Tiger Woods is not at Shinnecock Hills. He is not at any tournament. He hasn't been in competitive action in any meaningful way for months. The backstory involves a ruptured Achilles before the 2025 Masters, followed by back surgery, which caused him to miss the entire 2025 major season. Then, on the 27th of March, 2026, Woods was involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter, Florida, and was arrested on charges of DUI with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. He entered a plea of not guilty and subsequently entered a treatment program in Switzerland. Woods was spotted back in Florida recently, but he did not submit an entry for the Open Championship, missing the deadline entirely, and he holds no current exemption for the US Open, as the past winner's window for that event is shorter than the Masters or PGA Championship. His last competitive major round was at the 2024 Open Championship at Royal Troon, where he missed the cut. He has now missed 8 consecutive major championships. Woods has won the US Open 3 times in 2000, 2002, and most memorably in 2008 at Torrey Pines when he beat Rocco Mediate in a 1-9-hole playoff despite a serious leg injury. His absence is not simply a statistical footnote. The galleries feel different. The television coverage feels different. There is an energy that simply does not exist at a major championship when Tiger Woods is not around. Moving on, Sergio Garcia came into 2026 with something to prove. He had strong recent form on the LIV golf circuit, including a runner-up finish, and he made his qualifying attempt at Dallas Athletic Club. Over 36 holes, he posted rounds of 65 and 71, finishing at 1 under, missing the playoff for one of the 9 available US Open spots by 2 strokes. A 3-putt bogey on his final hole was the difference. This marks the second consecutive year Garcia has failed to qualify for the US Open, ending what had been a 5-year consecutive run of appearances in the event. Since winning the Masters in 2017, his best US Open result was a T12 at Pinehurst in 2024. His last top 10 inches, the event came all the way back in 2005. Playing on LIV Golf, where world ranking points remain limited, has made success in qualifying events increasingly critical and increasingly difficult. He will miss 3 of the 4 majors this season. Thomas Detry also pushed hard across multiple qualifying attempts without being able to break through, while Rasmus Højgaard was ruled out entirely by injury. Neither absence carries the same weight as those already discussed, but both represent recognizable names who will not be part of the field at Shinnecock Hills. Then there is the story that might be the strangest of all. Eugenio Chacarra, a 26-year-old former LIV Golf member and Oklahoma State standout, made a calculated decision before the US Open qualifying process even concluded. He entered the Dallas Athletic Club final qualifier, played his way into a 6-man playoff for the final available spot, and then with alternate spots still up for grabs, walked away. He left the qualifier, headed to the airport, and flew to Belgium to compete in the DP World Tour's Soudal Open. His reasoning was straightforward. Chacarra is currently sitting 13th in the Race to Dubai standings, just outside the top 10 that would earn him a PGA Tour card. He explained, "I left because my goal is to get my PGA Tour card through the DP Tour, and for me to prepare Belgium the right way was to get that flight. When you fly to Europe, you lose one day, and that was the only chance I had to get there on time to get some rest and practice the course." He also added later, "That's why I tried to qualify, and I wasn't good enough to make it, and it wasn't worth it to lose my flight and my team flight for an alternate spot that I also didn't know I was going to get." Then came the twist. Chacarra went to Belgium and won. He claimed victory on the DP World Tour, immediately raising the question that will never have an answer. What might have happened if he had stayed in that playoff? Could he have secured a place at Shinnecock Hills? Could he have been one of the surprise names to watch this week? Nobody knows, and that's what makes the story fascinating. But despite everything discussed so far, the storyline that may define tournament week involves a player who is actually in the field. Brooks Koepka won the US Open at Shinnecock Hills in 2018. He won it again the following year. He is a 2-time champion at this specific venue, and entering 2026, many viewed him as one of the most dangerous contenders in the entire field. Then, during the RBC Canadian Open, something went wrong. Koepka began experiencing numbness in his fingers during the tournament. At first, it appeared minor. Then it became serious enough that he withdrew during the final round, an extremely rare move for a player of his competitive nature. The situation prompted 2 separate scans of his vertebrae, one in Canada and one in New York. Both cleared him of any issues related to a previous herniated disc injury. His medical team now suspects one of 2 possible causes: ulnar nerve entrapment or thoracic outlet syndrome. Both conditions can produce numbness and tingling in the fingers, exactly what Koepka was experiencing. And for a professional golfer, that is not a minor inconvenience. Everything in the game starts with the hand's grip pressure, club control, feel around the greens, shot shaping, distance control, all of it. Koepka has confirmed his intention to play this week, but the questions surrounding him are real. Has the numbness improved? Can he grip the club comfortably under the pressure of a major championship? What version of Brooks Koepka will show up at Shinnecock Hills? A healthy Koepka on a course where he has already won is one of the most dangerous propositions in professional golf. A compromised Koepka is one of the biggest question marks in the field. That is the reality heading into the 2026 US Open. Scottie Scheffler arrives chasing the career Grand Slam. Rory McIlroy is back in New York. 13 LIV Golf members, including Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, are in the field. There is no shortage of storylines on the course. But before a single shot is struck at Shinnecock Hills, the absences have already told a story of their own, one of illness, injury, heartbreak, controversy, and uncertainty. And that story is going to be running in the background all week long.